Call this meeting to order, please. Can I have a roll call?
Mrs. Ling,
Present.
Mr. Stepanovich,
Here.
Mr. McKenna,
Here.
Mr. Diakopoulos, Mr. Lemak,
Here.
Mr. Olszewski,
Here.
Mr. Dice,
Here.
Mayor Sinan.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. One unlisted amendment that we have this evening is we are going to present an award to Mayor Sinan for 8 years of service. 16 years. Excuse me.
Wow. Thank you.
That's for 16 years of service. I'm sure there were plenty of bird hunts, Alaskan trips you four went to serve the community. So, appreciate it. Thank you.
And they said your mic is not on.
Mike's not on.
Do it again. It's green.
Take a picture. Thank you.
Oh, here, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for all your service. Absolutely. Okay. That brings us to our consent calendar items. Do we have any questions or concerns about the consent calendar? Hearing none, could I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar items.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Jason and Carl. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 4 is unanimous. That brings us to comments by the mayor. Mayor Simon?
Thanks, Mr. Dice. I think we only have a couple here this evening. The first one is Christmas tree recycling. To drop off your live Christmas tree for recycling into mulch. Host is the Murraysville Export Rotary. The location is the Old Stone parking lot between the paved Windstream parking lot and the Ruse Brews in Giant Eagle Market District Plaza. There'll be a poster board, signs with blinking yellow lights. The 2 days available are Saturday, January 3rd and Saturday, January 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. For any more information, contact Westmoreland Cleanways and Recycling, 724-879-4020. I think there's only one other, and that announcement is Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, and to all a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
As
Merry
he flew out of sight.
Wonderful, thank you. That brings us to comments by the Chief Administrator, Mr. Nestica.
Just a few comments. First, congratulations again to the mayor, and thank you for the 16 years of service to the community, 8 on council and 8 as the mayor. So he's certainly served his time and been a big benefit to have him on board on the municipal council and as the mayor. Only one other item just to mention. As we know, a major storm came through the weekend, so Public Works was rather busy. A lot of salt utilized. There were a few bumps in the road. We recognize we got a couple complaints that we addressed. The fleet wasn't, it was what we thought was ready, but as with anything else, the first storm of the season always presents a few challenges. So they were working diligently yesterday and today, making sure all the equipment was back up and running and functioning at full capacity. And we think we're very well prepared to move forward. But again, only a couple of minor complaints, but nonetheless, we still want to strive to do the best that we can. So we worked out a few of the kinks, and I think we're fully ready for any additional snow that, or weather that may come our way. So that is really all for this month from the Chief Administrator's comments.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. That brings us to community input. Okay, we will start with Mr. Bob Shepard.
Hello, my name is Bob Shepard, and I live at 4832 Treesdale Court. I'm here tonight. I have a couple questions regarding this stormwater fee that you folks are going to impose on everybody. Not quite understanding how this works. You make stormwater a utility now, and you're going to charge everybody a fee. But what are the people going to get for this fee? You know, along with a utility, there's always a service that has to be rendered. So what is going to happen with the money that gets collected with this stormwater fee? Anybody have an answer for that?
Well, sir, please just complete your comment and then we'll respond. But we
Okay.
will absolutely discuss what the community will be getting for the fee. So please continue, sir.
And on top of that, I don't understand, you know, you folks taking all this money from this fracking and stuff, which there is no transparency in this municipality for where that money's going. Why can't that money be used to help some of the people in this municipality as far as the stormwater? You know, I think your plan needs a lot of looking at, a lot of work, because I don't think it's fair that nobody really knows where that money's going to go or what you're going to do for that service. So, I mean, I think there's other ways to pay for this outside of trying to just hit everybody about stormwater fees. Don't understand. And who's going to enforce it? You people have a hydraulic engineer down here, so if somebody feels that they shouldn't have to pay for the stormwater, and they go after a credit, so who's going to make that determination, and who's going to enforce all that? I think you guys have a lot of unanswered questions here before you dig into the municipality, for the citizens of this municipality, as far as how this is all going to work. So that's my comments. I have a lot of questions.
All right.
I think a lot of other people have a lot of questions out there too. You've raised school taxes on everybody. Okay, I'm given. Now you're gonna do this with the stormwater fees. So once again, all the money you're taking in from the fracking and everything, where's that going? The problem here is we have no transparency here in this municipality. I think that needs looked at, in fairness to all the citizens in this municipality. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ott. I think we can address all of that on our discussion of the ordinance this evening. I did write down all your questions, though. I'll make sure we address them. I'll note at this time no one else signed up for citizens' comment. Would anyone else like to speak this evening? Okay. Moving on, we will go to liaison comments and committee reports. Let's start on this end. Jason?
The library is to meet this Thursday, so I haven't had a meeting since the last council meeting.
All right, thank you.
Parks and Recreation Foundation meets this Thursday at 9 o'clock in the morning, and Medic One meets at 7 o'clock in the evening this coming Thursday.
Yeah, thank you. Matt?
Parks and Recreation met last Tuesday. The Santa at Sardis was a great event, went very well. Everyone enjoyed the fire and all the different things that they had to offer there, so they were very happy with that. Public Works has been working really hard on repainting like all the picnic tables and doing the winter stuff, so we'll be ready for springtime when it comes for it. But that's about it through the end of the year for Parks and Rec.
All right,
The only thing we're waiting until the organizational meeting when we reorganize in January to figure out if it's going to stay on Tuesdays because of the Tuesdays at Townsend. It keeps everyone there is participating in that, and then we have a meeting. So we're going to wait and see what council does, and then figure out. We
And
might
we'll
change
always
the day.
advertise any change.
Yeah, right.
Jamie?
Okay, so Planning Commission met on December 9th, and there were 2 items on the agenda. Both were advisory discussions, which was something new for me. I'd never seen that before. Usually the business was already taking place. So this is where things are just very much at the beginning of planning. So the first item was for a subdivision of 1 lot into 5, 4 of which would be for duplex construction in the White Valley area. There was some concern about whether the slopes were too steep to build. So that's gonna take some more investigation. The second item was a discussion for a mini warehouse self-storage facility, which essentially would consist of 100 shipping containers. So there's a lot more that has to be worked out for that, but that was kind of interesting. So that's it. Next meeting is next month.
That's awesome, thank you. Matt?
EAC meeting was canceled in November due to no new action items. Next meeting is December 30th.
Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, we will move on to our council action items. And can I have a motion for 13A, please?
I'll make a motion to approve fee ordinance number 1107-25, the fee ordinance, chapter 112-6, an ordinance amending existing fee ordinance number 1096-24.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mac and Carl. Michael, could you lead us in, please?
Not much to add. This was discussed at the last meeting as well, just a few minor changes in the fee ordinance that just kind of recalibrate some things. It addresses cleans up some of the language. The only new additional fees would be for police video footage. And other than that, just kind of streamlining the way some of the fees are applied and modifying the rates for the clubhouse rental to be consistent with the community center. Other than that, no significant changes, certainly not any impactful changes to the actual budget itself.
Okay, council?
I just have one
please.
comment. Michael, on the first page under residential, single family, and multifamily, under the fee, it just says 30 cents per gross floor area. There's no unit on there. Everything else has a unit, either square feet or cubic yard or cubic feet. So I just didn't know, just for this, sake of being specific, that has a unit put on there. Because somebody could argue that's yardage as opposed to feet, and I think it's meant to be square feet.
Where, just so that I know, where is that listed?
It's the first, so it would be, of the ordinance, it would be page 3. First line under the green bar, which says use fee, type fee,
Okay,
building permit.
got it. Okay. Yeah, we can address that as well.
I mean, it's small, not anything big.
No problem. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any final questions or concerns about 13A? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 13A is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. That brings us to 13B. Can I have a motion, please?
A motion to approve ordinance number 1108-25, the stormwater fee ordinance.
Second. Thank you, Matt and Jason. Mike, do you want to just lead us in with an overview? You can address Mr. Shepherd's questions if you'd like, and then I'm definitely going to address them when you're done, and we can just kind of get into the discussion then.
Sure, yeah, so, again, a few things to touch on, but just to be kind of clear starting from the beginning. The municipality did engage the services of an engineering firm to conduct a study on the stormwater fee in our stormwater system. Our stormwater system is a utility, even at this moment. It's infrastructure that we manage and maintain. It's a system of pipes and culverts, catch basins, detention ponds, et cetera. There's an entire network and system out there that we manage. The concept of the fee was to try to separate the way that we fund and repair and address that infrastructure. It would be a dedicated fund specifically for managing that utility that we, again, already maintain now currently. The engineering firm that conducted the study has done many studies throughout the region and the state for stormwater fees. That is something that they specialize in. They analyze the entire network of the infrastructure that we manage. They examine our budget and our operations, and they ultimately come up with a recommendation to the council, to the municipality, as far as how to implement a fee, what the impervious surface should be calculated as, what the monthly fee should be calculated as, and all of those numbers. And that is what the draft ordinance, or the ordinance that you're contemplating here today, has in front of you. It has essentially a monthly fee of $7 per ERU, per equivalent residential unit, which is in Murraysville, as according to the study, a 5,800 square foot of impervious surface area. That's a pretty sizable number compared to some other communities. And because that number is larger, that helps kind of keep the cost down for the properties that have more than one ERU. So that's a benefit to the community as well. So as it applies to implementing a fee, certainly there are other communities that have larger impervious single-family homes, but this is one of the larger ones, and so again, it helps to kind of keep that rate down overall as you apply it throughout the community. Just to touch on, trying to touch on a few items that were mentioned. The one thing that was brought up is why not use the fracking money? And again, most of the money that was obtained through some of those leases was an upfront initial payment. And again, that's something that certainly could be utilized to address stormwater or any other facet of the municipal operation. But that is a well that runs dry. Ultimately, the money that was obtained for those leases, especially the upfront initial payment, can't sustain anything year over year on a long-term basis. It could, certainly help in the short term, but that money right now is set aside in an account to be utilized for capital projects relating to the parks. So we have our 5-year plan, and there are park improvements, and those funds are kind of set aside in contemplation of some of those projects. And as we would expect, we've talked about many times, when the new comp plan is conducted and we have a parks survey, there will probably be some recommendations through that process and some projects that the community would like to see at our various parks and recreational facilities. And we anticipate that's where some of that funding would come into play as far as supporting those projects. So again, that's not a long-term solution as far as maintaining and managing infrastructure, something like our utility, our stormwater utility system. So that's just kind of touching on some of the topics that were brought up here earlier. I'm sure there are some that I've maybe omitted. I'd be happy to answer or address, but that's kind of a rundown of, I guess, where we are right now and kind of what got us to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And one overarching thing I'd ask about transparency is we have our budget online still, right? For anyone? Okay. Thank you. Nextly, I think one of the things that needs to be said about why are we using this fee, why institute this particular method of generating revenue for stormwater, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, but I think it bears repeating. This enables us to, I don't know what the right word is, charge the greatest contributors to the stormwater issues, people who own large impervious surfaces. You know, if we take money from any other place, we're essentially then just taking money from something that's more of a general use fund, something we could use on anything we want, something that doesn't necessarily make sure the greatest contributors to the issue pay their fair share. I mean, we even heard, I think it was last meeting or 2 meetings ago, the gentleman from Choice Auto came, and we even discussed how he, as a newer builder, probably wouldn't have as many issues because he probably has more updated stormwater features, stormwater things that help to lessen the impact on our systems. And that's what this fee does. You know, people who don't have those, they're incentivized to install it or pay the fee. And I think to a certain extent, what does the community get from this? You know, hopefully we can, in the very, very long run, because you can't promise anything ever, but truly try to correct our stormwater issues that have been at issue since I first got on council 8 years ago myself. I mean, Mr. Ott has been having stormwater issues at his property for at least 8 years. Mr. and Mrs. Wolf, Mr. and Mrs. Ron Wolf, who have come to our meeting several times, continue, or I don't know, but have had stormwater issues. And anyone who's walked along the trail and seen the streams, the gentleman who came to several meetings to discuss, you know, what can be done about how these streams look. All of that is stormwater. But for stormwater, those things don't occur. And again, can't say that this fee will ever truly correct that. You know, there's a lot of infrastructure, but it's just something that's what this helps us to do, to specifically target those issues and help those people that sadly, or through happenstance, they're at the bottom of the hill. You know, it might not impact you, but somewhere within Murraysville, somebody's living at the bottom of the hill near the stream, and they're probably having issues with flooding due to stormwater and due to the sewage issues more often than they should. So that's my take on it, but council, anyone else, thoughts, questions?
I had a quick question, comment, maybe just to Michael or you, Dane, either way, but this is also being driven by the state initiative, correct? It's not just something we're doing on our own. So we have to have some solution to it.
That's right. So that's all part of the MS4 compliance and requirements and NPDES permitting. So yes, that's a major factor as well. The state has certain requirements for managing stormwater in a community, and those requirements get more stringent each cycle, permitting cycle, and so that's all part of it, is to try to keep up with that. And if I may add, just to Mr. Dice's feedback, it was mentioned about credits, and so just so that everybody is familiar with how that process would work. As I mentioned at the last meeting, if this ordinance is approved, then the next step would be to create a credit program. We've been looking at a bunch of different communities and trying to examine which ones have some of the better credit programs available and see how they are applied, how they're implemented. And what would happen is through this ordinance, it even has the language already built into it, that the credit program would then be designed and approved through municipal resolution. So I would anticipate, as I mentioned at last meeting, in the first quarter of next year, that would be something that's presented to council as far as a proper credit program for our community. It would set what the potential options are for credit and what type of, what percentage of a credit you would get on your bill. That's all discretionary that council can set. And so, like I said, we've been looking at a number of communities and their credit manuals, which are, a dozen pages or more long, as to who can receive credit, what type of a property, what type of a stormwater, improvements have to be made on that property, and then what the amount of that credit would be. So all of that would come in conjunction with a resolution sometime in the early part of next year if this item is approved.
I just had one thought here. I went on the internet and the general topic was arguments for calling a charge a fee. And of the 4 items, I think that we meet like 3 of them: operational funding, ease of implementation, specific service benefits. But the one, voluntary usage, a fee in this case would not be voluntary. It's going to be mandatory. So we do miss on that by having a fee.
I think that was also, if I may, Carl, if you're finished, was the court case that was brought to my attention by a future council member that stated there was a ruling that nonprofits could not be charged because the stormwater management was not considered a fee. Because it was not voluntary, it was considered a tax. So I guess some of my questions about this, I think there's still some things that need to be worked out with it. I know it's an unfunded mandate. I know we have to pay for it somehow. We have to figure out where the money's coming from, whether it's something that we have to institute or something that can be, somehow subsidized with something else. I mean, we do have some different revenue streams that other communities don't have, but it may just not be enough to foot the whole payment. So that being said, part of the issue that I have with the way this fee structure is set up, one, some of the language in how properties are labeled, and also I had talked about it at the last meeting, and I did a little bit more research about those 2 tables, Table A and Table B. One were single-family homes, the other one were attached single-family homes. And again, I'm going to reiterate, there was a 38% overlap in those homes where you're getting 38% of homes that have an equal amount of impervious surface would be paying half the price as single-family homes that have less than the ones that are paying half. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? If you look at those 2 tables, if you're looking at a Venn diagram, okay, there's an overlap between those 2 tables in the middle of 38%. To me, that is too great of a coincidence rate in order to allow somebody to pay half as much. You're getting people in White Valley who are paying 1 ERU, and you're getting people on Table A who have 18,000 square feet of impervious surface paying the same amount. There's something that is not, in my opinion, equitable. There is a danger to taking averages and random samples, and I think when you have a community that is as property diverse as Murraysville, sometimes you have to do a study that is more purposefully selected, where you're throwing out outliers or classifying outliers into different groups. So that's just, that's my feeling on that. I'm just gonna, reiterate that again. I also took a look through the budget and the CIP. So the CIP on page 6, it talks about its consolidated capital improvement projects, and I know that these are all estimates that JC did, just trying to plan for the future. I know nothing is written in stone in any of these things, but it was proposed over the course of the next 5 years for that CIP that we would only be spending $875,000 on the projected revenues from stormwater management fees, and that I'm sure that is not, and you could maybe clarify that, Michael, in case anybody does go online, Dane, and they do look at that so they're not confused. Clarify the estimated project costs versus what the actual project costs are. For example, last meeting I said, what are we actually spending on stormwater management currently? And I believe you had said somewhere between $300,000 to $500,000, but it was hard to estimate that for sure because you didn't really have a log of all the man hours and things like that were being put into it. But the CIP has projected much less. So those things don't reconcile.
Well, they don't, and that's what we discussed at the last meeting. That's because we're not doing projects that we need to be doing. We're not managing and maintaining the infrastructure to the to the necessity that, to the ability that we need to. That was exactly what I mentioned. That was kind of quoted in the newspaper. It did create a little bit of confusion in the community. Right now, that is, again, our estimated cost annually, year over year. That water that we don't break out because we don't treat it as a true utility right now. We look at it as part of the overall operation. And we budget for the things that are necessary and that are imminent, but we aren't budgeting for things that can help us get ahead, that can help us convey the stormwater adequately, that can help us manage our infrastructure better. And the other factor is because we don't have a dedicated source of funds, we can't budget for all of the various projects. So the capital, the CIP isn't going to account for the various projects that would be done if this fee is put in place. That would become essentially you would all of a sudden see various improvements in infrastructure and other items being addressed through this fee. So it is true that as of right now, it's not all accounted for in the things that we need to be doing. And again, that was part of what this study kind of helped us with, is to highlight where we need to go with it and what revenue stream needs to be put in place in order to manage it adequately. And so that's ultimately what the study, I guess, concluded.
So I'm trying to remember, and this may be from a year ago, from one of our meetings, where we had talked about the repercussions for not meeting the benchmarks as put forward by the permit. And even though the permit's for 4 or 5 years, there are benchmarks every year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do I recall it was like a $2,500 a day fine or something? I mean, it was extraordinarily expensive.
And I don't know that number, admittedly. I don't know that offhand, but certainly municipalities can be fined if they aren't meeting the criteria. It is a 5-year permit cycle. This permit goes through 2029, I believe, so we have another couple years left, but everybody anticipates that the next permit cycle, the requirements are going to become more stringent. There's going to be more that each municipality is going to have to do to eliminate runoff and discharge and streams clean, I guess, is ultimately what the goal of the...
So, I guess sorry, I know I'm doing my usual talk, but...
it's good, yeah, let's get those four.
My other question then would be going back to the equitability part, because that is part of the mandate, is that whatever process of collecting revenue has to be done equitably. Would it be worth a thought to look at, and of course, everybody hates this word, fee, tax, it's kind of the same thing, but if there was a tax based upon property value, right? Usually a property that's worth more, not in all instances, but usually a property that is worth more or assessed more is probably going to have more impervious surface. Not always. You can have huge acreage lands, and those could be, more of the small exceptions, as opposed to something like this where I think the administration is going to be flooded with appeals. You don't think?
I think it's the opposite.
I don't know.
We're using this ERU method that is approved by the state. The state has said if you want to do a stormwater fee, use this method, calculate an ERU, have an engineer sign off on it. To come up with a whole new method, I don't even know if that's feasible.
I don't think it's a new method. It would be raising taxes essentially and then setting that money aside. And I hate to even bring that up or say that, but essentially it's the same thing. Either way, you're collecting money from residents.
Yeah.
So call it a fee or call it a tax. You're accomplishing the same thing.
Yeah, what you're talking about.
It's an excise tax.
Well, but really what you're talking about then is just raising the real estate tax. I mean, that's what it is. It's, hey, your assessment is this much, so we'll just raise the real estate tax and you guys pay more. And the problem with that is that just hits everybody, regardless of income or anything like that. And again, getting back to why I think specifically this stormwater fee is the way to go, is that it is the approved method by the state of Pennsylvania to specifically target stormwater, to say, hey, you are the greatest contributors to stormwater issues in this community. You got a lot of ERUs, you got to pay for that. Or install better stormwater, what would you say, stormwater
Systems.
drainage? Yeah, stormwater systems.
Mitigation.
Yeah,
Control.
mitigation, that's it. Yeah, install more stormwater mitigation, and we get into the underground tanks that we've all seen installed at various places. You know, to me, this is essentially the state of Pennsylvania recognizing the issue stormwater has become. And again, I always allude to other communities, but if you drive around Millville or Turtle Creek during a regular stormwater event, I mean, a lot of parts of those places are often kind of underwater, and it's all stormwater. And I think that's why Pennsylvania gave communities this specific method to try to, you know, target's not a good word, but ensure equitability, ensure, you know, you're saying, oh, let's look at assessments. This is the assessment. You know, it's looking at the ERUs. And again, I think somewhat, you know, showing that the fee is working as intended. The gentleman from Choice Auto, someone who owns a lot of impervious surface, looked at that and went, whoa, I got to make sure everything's okay here. And truthfully, those are the people that are going to be contributing to stormwater issues in most instances. So the fee's almost already, before it's even enacted, working as intended. Getting those specific, you know, quote unquote offenders, people that are creating stormwater issues downstream of them, aware of the issue and realizing they should probably do some mitigation. This just, again, that's my thought on why this specific fee is a good idea.
I'll throw out, I think that the state, with what they're doing, kind of lit a fire under the municipalities, because this is something that I feel like for years we've been kicking the can down the road on stormwater. It's never going to get better as the community grows and there's more businesses put in and whatnot. It's only going to get worse. I mean, we saw the fire department taking kids to prom in a boat because of flooding down there. So I think it needs addressed. I feel like it's fair from a residential standpoint on the one ERU, whether it's attached or non-attached and how it's set up. I feel like it kind of works itself out there, how it is. The only question and concern I have is like you said, Mr. Redker that was here from Choice, you know, he spent $180,000, I think he said last meeting, on his stormwater system on his property. I mean, that's a big number that he spent on that, and look at other businesses that are the same size of his or close that have absolutely nothing and have done zero for stormwater. You know, my question is even a 50% discount to him enough? You know, I don't know if there's a way to weigh. Did he take 80% of his stormwater out of our system? Then what? You know, I don't know if we could do that. It'd be kind of hard. You know, kind of have to have all the same. But
I think that's actually part of the plan, Michael. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be the ordinance would be approved, and then via resolution, council would thusly approve the credit system, the way that sort of algorithm will work. Yeah.
So it is based on how much
absolutely.
they take out of the system.
Mr. Riker's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we specifically told Mr. Riker and anyone else in his position, he as someone who's built more recently and has those stormwater mitigation systems, he'll absolutely receive a credit, and we'll determine what's equitable, what's fair, what we think we can do going forward via resolution. Yeah. And I think that's the way it should be. You should receive massive credits if you put in the work and spent the money.
Yeah, and I mean, if the fee is something that, you know, other businesses that have done nothing to their stormwater system and they're paying that fee, you know, maybe they would want to look into putting a system, and that would only better things for us. So I think it, you know,
the subject of the churches, et cetera, and so forth. That there's a legality that they could not be assessed?
Yeah, it's under dispute, and it's been under appeal for forever, is my understanding. And what a lot of places are doing, if they're truly concerned about the ruling, is simply saying the amount of entities in your community that are truly impacted by that's probably going to be like 2, 3, maybe 4. So just all the tax money you're getting from them, keep it in an escrow account. And that's just kind of playing it safe. So that case has been pending for forever, and these stormwater fees continue to be enacted, just recognizing that when it comes down, it is going to affect a few entities, but not the overall fee or really impact anything too significantly.
And Michael, then by separating this into its own line item in a budget, we will soon be able to track it more efficiently by head count and trucks or whatever tools and operational costs are associated to it.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, it would certainly do that. You would be able to not only see the revenue very clearly, but then the expenditures would be allocated within that fund. So it would be not only a better way than what we're doing now, but it would certainly do exactly what you're saying. It would all be tracked under a single stormwater fund, and that would be required to have it segregated and separate. And just to address, I don't want to kind of belabor the issue, but as we talk about some of the property owners and the improvements they made, including the one you just mentioned, just because there are stormwater improvements on that site doesn't mean stormwater goes away. That particular property, it's just a detention pond. So all that does is it still releases into the system. It still goes into the streams or into the culverts, but it releases it slowly through a detention pond system. So there are very few properties that retain water on their property. I mean, ultimately, that's pretty uncommon. Usually, it somehow releases into the system.
Well, even the tanks, though, underground, they release slowly as well, most.
Yeah, depending on how
it's
depending
set
on
up.
each property and depending on how it's built. But that's an example where it was a significant improvement. But that water still goes into the stormwater system.
But it's controlled, it's regulated.
It's controlled, no doubt, undoubtedly. And and again, I don't want to select just one property owner. I mean, that applies throughout the community as well. It's not just, one individual. And the idea, as you had mentioned, Mr. Dice, is that it captures the runoff based on impervious surface, which is and again, that's what the study kind of conveys, and I think you alluded to, that's as equitable of a way to apply it because it's not based on the value of a property and a property value could carry a higher value just by proximity to the highway or another location, and it also carries a land and an improvement value, whereas the impervious surface is in and of itself only based on how much area you have of your property that transmits stormwater and does not allow it to absorb into the ground and puts it into the stormwater system. And again, nothing is perfect, as the consultant mentioned at the last meeting. There's no way to perfectly capture every single property, a community of our size. You certainly wouldn't be able to go out and conduct a study of every single property. So they use the assumptions, and they provided all those samples in the analysis itself, and it's in many ways more favorable to individual property owners because of the average size of impervious surface on a residential property in Marysville.
One last question I could, maybe. If there is an appeal, somebody wants to question it, what's the process? How does that work, and who oversees that committee?
So right now, the way that the process is designed in the ordinance and in other communities, it would come to the municipality, staff would conduct a review. I believe it says the chief administrator or designee. So we would assess what the appeal is and then render a decision. And then if the payer is in disagreement with the outcome, then they can ultimately appeal to council, and then council would make a determination. That would probably happen at a public meeting. We would set that aside. And just to kind of, and again, I think this was mentioned at previous meetings, but it is worth repeating that at the outset, there will be a small wave, from what we understand and talking with other communities, there will be a small wave of people that appeal their fee, but then after that, that pretty much subsides. The folks that apply for a credit or want to receive a credit will do that at the outset. From there, they trickle in, occasionally based on developments and things like that, but it's not very common to see a lot of appeals year over year. And usually what happens is residential property owners don't apply for credits because it's sometimes just not feasible or equitable, or economical, I should say, for them because their fee is rather low, relatively speaking. So to put in some sort of stormwater improvements on your property when your bill is only $84 a year as it would stand, it may not make economical sense because you'd be putting in more costly improvements than you would just to pay the bill. Now, for the larger ratepayers, then that's where the credit system comes into play. They would apply. Typically, again, as you see in other communities, the engineer would go out, they would conduct an assessment of the stormwater improvements that exist at that particular property. They would then, determine which credits they satisfy. Again, that would be all part of the credit manual that we put together. And then they would, then a determination would be made. So again, and I don't want to keep repeating, but that credit manual will become adopted by council via resolution, and that's something that you could weigh in on as to what type of credits are applicable to various properties and how much of a percentage reduction they get on their bill. And we would have, all of that analyzed and presented to council, and so you could weigh in on exactly how you want the credit system to be designed and implemented.
Thank you.
Michael, as part of that appeal process, do you foresee involving other parts of staff, such as our engineer or engineers?
Yeah, I think that the engineering department would be involved in it. I mean, ultimately, the engineer would be the one that would go out and conduct the assessment of the particular property. And they would, again, it's kind of a, they would determine whether they check certain boxes as far as what the criteria is for receiving a credit. So yeah, other staff would be involved as well.
And as far as the appeal goes as well, if they disagreed with the...
Well, I think that, yeah, they would certainly be able to weigh in. And I think that that would be warranted. Again, the goal would be to try to get it right. If somebody says, no, I disagree with my assessment, my annual rate, again, we would go out, determine what improvements have been made. It would probably check certain boxes under the credit manual, whether they have a detention basin or certain other improvements, rain barrels for maybe residents, things like that. So it shouldn't be a judgment call as much as it is satisfying criteria, and then the credit is applied. And again, if they disagree with that because maybe they believe their improvement is, garners a larger discount or larger credit than the manual calls for, then that's when they would come into council and plead, make their appeal, I guess.
Thank you.
I have one more.
No, please.
Sorry, I promise it'll be my last one. So I get it. I mean, I'm not arguing that we need money, okay? And this has to be done, obviously. I just don't like the way they're calculating this equitability. I don't agree with
ERU.
it. The ERU.
Yeah.
Not how the ERU is calculated, but how it applies to the homes and who's paying what. This is my art. This is, okay. They list on page 6 of the ordinance, they list 5 assumptions for how they're basically getting their average, okay, A through E. And I'll give the 4, the A through D, I'll be in agreement with that. Letter E states that the standard charge for an individual dwelling unit located on a single-family residential property is based on the fact that there is not a great deal of variation in size. And I'm going to argue in Murraysville and all of the surrounding area that that is not true. There is a wide variety in size of the dwelling units and in that amount of impervious surface. And again, I'm going to go back to, homes that are older and smaller are paying the same rate as some of these larger homes. I just don't, I don't know how to get around it, but I don't like the way that they took their sampling. Like I said, there's a danger in taking random samplings in certain instances when you have such a, diverse base of property. I think that there are some problems with that. I don't think that this is ready. I think that has to be redone. I am not satisfied with that at all.
So, I mean, because you really hit it at the end there, which is, I don't think you can go back and just try to change the underlying study. You would just essentially have to hire another firm and say, do it again, calculate the ERU again. We think these guys did a bad job. So, I mean, council thoughts?
Are you suggesting, Jamie, they look at every single property and come up with?
No, I'm saying sometimes when you do averages and you take things random, you have your outliers, right, that are changing the average, whereas,
You're talking about this tape?
yeah, so there were 50 out of the, I don't know how many homes we have here that are unattached and under 3 acres. I just don't know that number off the top of my head. I'm going to say 5,000. I don't know. Am I close to that?
I'm sorry.
I don't know how many homes we have that are under the 3 acres that fall in that single-family residential dwelling. Okay, we took 50. If you look at the attached homes, we took 25. We have less attached homes here, obviously. But if you look at that random sampling of that 25, you have a huge number of homes in whatever that development's called, Wheatland Field or something like that. I didn't see one from Franklin Town. Or maybe I just missed it. Maybe I don't know the correct name of the street, but I'm saying it just seems like sometimes when you do random sampling, it seems unrandom.
Because, I mean, if we hire another firm, they're just going to come in and do their own random sampling.
But what I'm saying is maybe random sampling isn't the methodology that should be used when you have a community that has diverse properties. But that's my opinion.
But we might need the engineer here to describe. I don't know if it's an opinion thing. I don't know.
Well,
if
I
that's-
tried to ask him when he was here at the last meeting, and he said, you just have to accept it, is what he said,
and
basically.
Ultimately, that'll probably be the ultimate answer, which is, hey, this is how it's calculated. The state comes up with the algorithm, hire another firm to give it a shot.
If they're going to use the same algorithm, then
Well, but they're
it's not
probably
going to
not.
change the outcome.
Yeah, but like you said, they could pick different houses, and maybe because Murraysville's so diverse, it would truly be a different thing.
Could we go back and ask them to, instead of doing 50 homes, do 100 homes? I don't know what the number would be.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could do that. I would probably lean to where Dane is. If you're saying that they didn't do it properly, then you wouldn't want to continue or further that methodology. It doesn't seem feasible to assess all of the properties. I think that, I mean, at the end of the day, the ordinance sets forth a $7 a month fee based on a 5,800 square foot impervious area. Is the goal to try to make that impervious area larger? Is that what you're suggesting? There's larger homes, so it should be larger?
I'm not suggesting anything with the number that makes the ERU. I'm saying who is paying what. Do you see what I'm saying? Why some homes are paying half an ERU, but yet their amount of impervious surface is more than some of the homes that are paying a full ERU. To me, that is not equitable. If that is how it is supposed to be applied, not when you have a 38% overlap. There's something that was not, in my opinion, done well. And I think and the way I'm looking at it is, I think it has to do with the way our property in our samplings from a diverse population. Like if you were to go to the city of, I don't know, because I don't live in the city of Pittsburgh, go to the city of Pittsburgh and all the homes are the same size and they're all in a row or whatever it is on whatever street, yeah, it'd be pretty easy to take a random sample and do an average, but you're coming here where things are very diverse. So I'm sorry to be like a total pain in the butt about this, but I mean, if it's supposed to be fair, then it should be fair.
I think, I mean, I have a spreadsheet here that has all the calculations for impervious surface. I could probably run again, I don't think that that's what we want, is for me to quickly run numbers, but I can tell you that we could try, well, I apologize, no, they don't have all of the impervious surfaces when it gets down to all the single-family homes. I think they have, I take that back. So I apologize, misspeak and state anything on the record that is inaccurate. I was going to try to break down some of the spreadsheet, but I don't want to do that on the fly, certainly not.
Yeah,
while
that's
this is on the
wise.
floor.
Absolutely.
Because I was going to say that, we could try to break it down, but there are, yeah, I don't want to start taking a stab at numbers here as far as how many properties.
Let me do this, council. I think at this point, really the question is, do we want to rely on the study from LSE and move forward with this at the $7 rate, which was the ERU that was calculated? Or is there a willingness to, get another study done by a different firm to see what they come up with? So, council, thoughts?
How much was the study?
I can tell you that answer. Bear with me one moment. I don't have access to all of my files here.
I don't know. As you're looking there, I'm kind of thinking that if we have another study, there's going to be a close conclusion to the current study. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the trouble with, if you do another study, they're all doing it utilizing that same method. I feel like it's, you're going to be paying for something that's pretty much going to be the same. What Jamie's talking about would be, you'd have to completely change how you're looking at individual properties or units of that for the equitability. I don't think we're going to get what we'd pay to have another study done. I think we'd have to change totally how we're looking at it completely. Is what I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get you that number. I don't have access to all the files here, but I think I may be able to.
Okay. While he's looking at that, in regards to the stormwater fee, any final comments or concerns from council? Thoughts?
I mean, I would think from an engineering point of view, Jamie, these guys do this all the time. They're using a template from other communities they've done it in, and
Not all
plugging in the
communities are the
parameters.
same.
Absolutely.
I mean,
That's fair.
communities differ. So you shouldn't really apply the same thing to every community, but I get what you're saying. They have their algorithm, that's what they're using, that's what another company's gonna use. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
So noted.
Yep.
Thank you.
Michael, at this point, I think I'm just going to call for a vote. And just because of the nature of this, for Dale, if you would do a roll call, please. Thank you.
Mrs. Ling?
No.
Mr. Stepanovich?
Yes.
Mr. McKenna?
Yes.
Mr. Lemak?
Yes.
Mr. Olszewski?
Yes.
Mr. Dice?
Yes. Okay, thank you, council. 13B is approved.
Mr. Dice, I have
Yeah.
a personal item. Unfortunately, I have to leave at this point.
All right, thanks for staying. No, hey, Carl, this is your last meeting, so
Yes.
thank you so much.
Excellent. Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
You get to walk out into the sunset on TV.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us to 14A. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to consider approval of resolution number 812-25, a resolution to approve the planning module for an alternate waste disposal system 2127 Mallard Lane, Murraysville.
Second.
Thank you, Mac and Jamie. Mr. Nestico, would you like to lead us in?
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. This one is just a routine item. It is a modification to the Act 537 plan, which has to be approved. The property owner is replacing their septic system on a 2.1 acre parcel of land.
Okay. Council, any questions or concerns? Clerical? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 14A is unanimous, noting that Mr. Stepanovich did leave. Any old or new business from anyone this evening?
I have a question.
Sure.
To set up the reorg meeting date, usually, don't we do it now?
Yeah, well, it's advertised for January 5th, which is the first Monday of the year.
Okay.
It's called for by the charter. So it will be Monday, January 5th at 7 PM.
Can we do it potentially maybe earlier? Because that's that is very hot day to have reorg meetings, because that's from the state code.
You mean like an earlier day?
An earlier time,
Oh.
potentially.
Like 6 PM?
Yeah, even 6 PM, just to do it very quickly, yeah. Or 5 PM, 5:30, if that works for everyone.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't, just to
Yes.
address that, I don't know that we put the advertisement out yet. In fact, I may look to Verdale. Did you happen to send that in by chance?
Oh, that's
I
what
don't
we get
know
for
if it
doing a
was-
good job.
I don't know if that was in the,
I wouldn't have got it in.
I don't know if it was in the Penn Franklin, yes.
Would it matter the time, though?
We can still
Just the day?
re-advertise.
We could re-advertise, and I was also going to say, so, and I have the magistrate coming as well, so I would let her know, but I'm sure that her schedule would allow for it. But I just wanted to make that mention as well.
So is that 5 or 6?
Well, I would say, can we do 5? And if for some reason, we obviously want our local magistrate Petrich to stop by, so if 5:30 works better, we'll just do that. And thank you for accommodating me, everyone. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. And good thinking. Thank you. No executive session this evening. No action items. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Thanks, everybody.